going to do? As usual, the seminar is divided in two parts. In the first part that I'm going to do, we will take a look about what is BIM and a short introduction about Valsir BIM solution in general, and then a focus on our Revit families. In the second part that will be made by Paolo. Paolo, what you are going to discuss?
Yeah, in the second part, good evening, everyone, first of all. In the second part, we are going to discuss about the two applications that we developed as Valsir that can be useful for you as designers that we developed for Revit, the Revit software. The one is the Valsir product line placer, and the other one is the clip tool.
Thank you very much, Paolo. And so without further ado, we can start with the webinar. And I would like to start with a question for you, because we are going to talk about BIM, but what is BIM? Inside the poll section, you should see this question, and there are three possible answers. BIM is a building site role, BIM is a software, or BIM is a standard. The question is very simple, but the answer is not so easy. Just wait a couple of seconds to see what people are going to answer. Okay, I can see that the votes are stable, and I have to say the truth, because none of these answers is the correct one. It was a provocation for you, because yes, sometimes when you talk about BIM, you're used to think that BIM is a software to do something. But other people may think that BIM is a standard to develop something, or even that BIM is a role in the building construction, a role that has to control everything. But BIM is none of those. BIM, in the reality, is a process. When we talk about BIM, we are talking about a process in general. That, of course, inside this process, you have softwares, you have standards that you have to follow, and there are roles on the building side that has to follow these rules inside a BIM process. For example, a BIM manager, a BIM specialist, and so on. But BIM is a process, is a new kind of philosophy for the building process, and literally is the acronym of Building Information Modeling. It is a development following a type of development with a lot of information. If we take a look at these pictures, we can see the different phase in a building process. And in the BIM philosophy, in the BIM process, we follow in the development all the life cycle of our building, starting from the conceptual phase, but till the very end, through all the different stages of the development. So in the design phase, but also in the construction phase, in the operation and maintenance phase, and even at the end of the life of our building, in the renovation or a demolition of our building. So a BIM process is taking into consideration all the phases of a building. And to do so, it tried to put together the work of all the specialists of a development of a building, try to increasing the synergy amongst all those stakeholders. Because in a BIM process, we want to put in contact all these professional people in order to improve the building process and how the building is developed. In the whole way of development, what do you have? You have different professionals working on separate projects, like the structural engineer working on the main core of the building. Then there is the MEP designer working on the mechanical systems, and so on. And all these different professionals are not talk between each other. And this means that during the development and the construction of a building, you can have drawbacks because those people didn't talk between each other, and so maybe you have clashes between the structure of your building and the system, and so you have to lose time in updating all the drawings of your building and so on. And these drawbacks are, of course, a situation that you have to solve and that consume the time of realization of your building. And this time-consuming process can lead to extra cost. And we know that extra costs are a problem inside the development of a building. But by following a BIM philosophy, you improve the cooperation amongst all the stakeholders, and so you reduce these delays. And even if in the beginning it seems that following a BIM process may cost more than a traditional development, in the end you are saving a lot of time because you improve the cooperation, and so you remove these drawbacks and delays in the construction phase. If we take a look at both of the pictures that we've seen in the slides before, we can see that now the building is in the center of our development. In both the image, the building is the core of the development, and we are not using any more two-dimensional plan views that if you are going to overlap, you can see you can have an image of the final building. And we are not using any more vectorial software that can be, for example, AutoCAD from Autodesk, but we are using parametric software. Parametric software following the BIM philosophy, for example, Revit from Autodesk, that thanks to some models, you can realize the digital avatar of your building. And so by inserting all these models in your project, you can see how the building will be in the end after the realization of it. And to do so, you need these models, right? And so here is where company like Valsir came in help of the developer by providing models to put inside this kind of project. And before starting, before going further with the presentation, I would like to ask you the second question, because we've seen what is BIM, and now I would like to understand from you if during your working activity, do you use any software based on the BIM process? The question is very simple, is a yes/no question to understand if you are already familiar with the BIM software, and if you want, you can also type in the chat which kind of software are you used to use for BIM development. I can see that more than 80% of the people watching the webinars are familiar with BIM software. This is something very positive for our presentation, because we are going to see Valsir solution for Revit, for BIM, to see what you can use from our company during your daily activities. When we talk about BIM for Valsir, we are talking about plumbing, because we develop a BIM solution for the plumbing application. And so our payoff for this kind of activity is PlumBIM. Going in our website, www.valsir.it/software, you can find all our solution for BIM. And you will find these 4 solutions. For those that are already familiar with BIM softwares, you can already see that most of our solutions are for Revit from Autodesk. And we decided to develop our solution for Revit because in our market share is the most used software. So MEP designer usually use this kind of software. And so to help them in their activity, we develop our solution for Revit. But you can see that we have also a 4th solution for PlanCalnova, which is another software following the BIM philosophy, and because we are usually try to keep an eye open on the request on the market, and that we see that in market like France and Germany, they mostly use PlumNova, and so we decided to develop a tool for them. So which are the 4 solutions? The first one is a complete range of families for Revit. So are the standard historical Revit models developed by us, is a complete range of our product catalog. We started to develop our Revit models in 2014, and we internally draw and design all the models. We decided to do so, to do them internally for 2 main reasons. The first one is because having developed them internally, we are able to update the models very quickly while we are changing our product. And also because in this way, we can also provide a fast assistance to the client that are using our models without having to pass through a third-party company. The second solution is the product line placer, and will be described by Paolo in the second part, so I don't want to steal any time to him talking about this. The same also for the clip tool. Paolo will go deeper inside this topic in a couple of minutes. The last solution, as mentioned, is PlumNova. It's a different software from Revit, and we develop a complete range of families for this kind of software. Unfortunately, we're not going to talk about this solution, but if you are interested in this software and in our families for PlumNova, you can contact us without any problem, and we will provide you all the information that you need on PlumNova. So now let's focus on the first solution, so Valsir Revit models, and let's see how do they work and where you can find them. We mentioned that when we pass from vectorial software, a traditional software like AutoCAD, to a parametric software like Revit, we need models to fill our project. And these models are provided by companies like Valsir that create the families for you and for your project. But inside the software, there are already some traditional families developed by the software house in order to provide to the user all the tools to realize a complete project. So when we talk about MEP development, you have 2 possible choices. The first one are the standard models from the software house, in this case Autodesk, and then you have Valsir models. And now we are going to compare them and see what you can do with one and what we can do with ours. The first aspect that we want to compare is the easiness to use the families. And both the categories get a positive evaluation. Why? Because the software house, when created Revit, developed these families, these models, to provide to the user some tools to have a full user experience on the software. And so by using the standard models, you can do everything inside the software. And when we develop our families, we started from Autodesk models in order to provide the same full user experience also by using our models. So from this point, both has the same evaluation. But let's move on with the comparison. Matching with real items. In this case, by using a standard models from the software house, you just have a digital models realized by Autodesk just to provide you something to have a complete user experience, but you're not using a real item available on the market. But by using Valsir models, you're using something that is inside our product catalog. And so you are sure that you are using a real item. For example, a fitting for the water supply, you're sure that you're using something that you can also purchase on the market. And so a real object, but inside your project with a digital model. The third aspect are the information and technical sheet available for the model. In the standard model, since you're using something, as mentioned, developed by the software house, just to provide you a complete software, you don't have any kind of information nor technical aspect of that particular model. But by using Valsir model, since you're using a real item attached to the properties of that model, you have a lot of information about the product itself. So the product code, the standards in which the product is in comply, and so on. A full technical sheet of that model that provides you all the information that you need about that specific product range. The last aspect is what is called clash detection. By using the standard model, you can do clash detection because you're not using a real item. It's something developed just for complete the software for you. So you can't verify if the system you have drawn has a clash with the structure of the building or other system. But by using Valsir model, since they have real dimension and they are real item, it means that you can also verify if they really fit inside the space of the project where you put them. And so you can do the clash detection and control if everything you have drawn can stay in the space inside the project itself. And this is what is called the clash detection phase. Let's take a look about our models and what you can find inside it. Our Revit models, our Revit families are very detailed. You are a very high level of details for our families. And so the dimension of the families are the same of the real item. In this way, you can verify everything about that specific piece. You can verify the dimension, you can check for clash detection, and so on. Additionally to the geometry, you have a lot of information and data inside the properties of the family. For example, you can see that you have a description of the model that you have inserted. For example, in the slide, we can see a triplus equal branch, diameter 110 with a 45-degree entrance of diameter 110. And you have also the product code. So you can also buy this specific piece with a product code that you can find inside the models that you have inserted in your project. In addition to that, you have also all the technical information about the piece. For example, the application field for this specific fitting, the standards in which the fitting is in comply, all the technical information about the fire resistance, the noise level, the maximum positive and negative pressure, and so on. So you have a full technical data sheet of this particular object. But not only that. If you remember, in the beginning, we're speaking about all the life cycle of the building. And if you think about the meaning of BIM, which is Building Information Modeling, the I is for information. So the more information we have, the better. And take a look, for example, at these water supply fitting. We can see the same technical information of the other one, of the wastewater. So we have the product name, the product code, all the field of application, the maximum pressure, maximum temperature, and so on. But take a look at the last two rows. We can see there information about the type of tools that you need for the installation. And this is important because we are taking into consideration the entire life cycle of our building. So not only the installation, but also the maintenance of our system inside our building. It means that once you realize the digital avatar of your building following a BIM process, you can export this model and give it to the janitor manager, for example, and he will see all the different tools he needs to do the maintenance of the system inside the building. And this is important because if you follow the BIM philosophy, you do not have to focus only on the construction phase, but also on the life of the building, so the maintenance operation, and also at the end, how to dismantle and demolish the building that you have developed. Inside our families, there are also a lot of editable parameters and presettings. We created our models in order to provide you a tool that you can adjust according to real installation. For example, here we can see a models of our Tropia S, which is a concealed flushing cistern. And with the red arrows, you can see all the possible parameters that you can change. For example, you can change the depth of installation. You can change the angle of the waste pipe, and so on. And on this topic, I would like to share a video that we are going to see, and I'm going to comment with you very quickly. Let me share it. Is this one? Okay. It should start. Okay. And we are inside the Revit environment, and we have 3 different views. We have one plan view, one section, and one 3D view. And we have inserted the model of our concealed cistern, the Tropia S. As you can see, by selecting the models, on the right, we have all the different parameters that we can edit. We are changing now the host distance input in order to adjust the depth of installation of our flushing system. As you can see, we increase this depth of installation in order to simulate a real situation. And this is something important because if you think about possible particular application, for example, in case you need to install back-to-back toilets, so 2 toilets, one back of the other, you need to know which is the minimum depth of installation of the 2 concealed cisterns, one back-to-back. And by changing this parameter, you can also adjust the dimension of your wall. We can also change the angle of the waste pipe so as the length of our waste pipe with just a couple of clicks. In this way, we can orient also the pipe of our waste system according to their direction of the real waste system connected to our flushing system. We can even adjust, for example, the legs of our concealed system in order maybe to reach a structural slab below. Once we decide everything about our parameters of the system, we can directly, by clicking a couple of buttons, start to draw our pipes or even insert the pushing plate in order to provide to the cistern also an aesthetical touch. As you can see, with some parameters and some very quick command, you can customize your model according to a real installation. And this is why we talk about a parametric software, because thanks to some parameter, we can change the configuration of the family that we have inserted in our system. In addition to the parameters, we mention also settings. About this topic, I'm sharing another video. Okay, it's starting now. We are still inside Revit environment. In this case, we have 2 plan views, one schematic, one detailed view. Then we have a 3-dimensional view, and then we have a 4th view in the bottom right, which is the shadow of the material. Because also the bill of quantities of the models that you have inserted inside Revit is what is called a view. So we can see that with a couple of clicks, by drawing lines inside the schematic view, for example, we've inserted a line in the schematic view. In the reality, we have drawn a real item, a pipe, because we are not anymore in CAD, where we draw a line, we are simply drawing something inside our project without any information. When you are inside a BIM software like Revit, if you draw some lines, in the reality, you are inserting some models, and these models have information about what you have inserted. And as you can see, simply by connecting two lines, automatically the software inserted also the fitting. We can do the same starting from the spigot band. So we draw a line and automatically the software insert all the fittings in our project. If you had paid attention, you notice that while we draw the lines and the software inserted the models, we also had an update of the schedule of materials of the fitting in the fourth view in the bottom right. As you can see, by selecting, sorry, I restart the video. Let's go back to where we were. So as you can see, we draw lines and we inserted models. And you can see that if we select models from the schedule, it will be highlighted also in our drawing, because instead of draw simple lines, we have drawn a real item inside our project. And this item will be inside the schedule of the material, and this schedule of the material can be used, for example, to order the material that you need in your specific project. So you can understand that by using a vectorial software, you don't have all this kind of information. But by using a parametric software like Revit, you can start to have also additional information, and not only the drawing, because you can have also the bill of quantities of what you have inserted inside your project. So what we have available for you for our Revit families. We have the complete range of systems of the wastewater. So we have our HDP pipe and all our polypropylene pipe, being the PP3, Triplas, Silarian, Blackfire. And we have also, from, I think, 2 months ago, we have also uploaded our family of the PP EcoForte, so the wastewater pipe for outside the building. Then we have all the families of the water supply system. So the Pexal Brass, Pexal Easy, and Bravo Press for both pipe, Pexal and Mixal, so our multi-layer pipe. We have also the complete range of families of our concealed cistern, so the Tropia S, Cubic S, Winner S, and also the Ariapur, which is the odor extractor for the bathroom. Then we have all the families of our traps available to be inserted. And we have all the families of our siphonic rainwater system, the Rain Plus. And for Rain Plus, we have also an internal tool to export from our software and import inside Revit the design that we can do for the siphonic system. And then we have also all the families of the mounting frames. So frame for bidet, basin, and urinals. So you can see that you can download the complete catalog of the product of Valsir for realize your MEP design for the plumbing application. Where you can find these families, if you remember, in www.valsir.it/software, you can find all the Valsir solution for BIM. But going in valsir.it/BIM, you will find these families that we have just seen. And so you will see this kind of page. And by selecting one of the product brand that you want to download, you have some files available. The first thing that you can download is the manual. You can also scan the QR code that you see here to download it. It is a very short manual of some pages with information, trick and tips on how to maximize the use of our families for your Revit project. Then we have all the RFA file, which are the loadable families that you can load inside your project to insert all the families of the fittings and accessories of a specific product. And then we have the RTE file, which is the template. Inside the template, you can find the system families, which are, for example, the pipes and all the settings. And for settings, we are talking about auto routing preferences, default properties on the family, and all the loadable family that we've seen in the slide before. So if you want to start to draw a system by using our family, you can download the RTE file, so the template, and starting from the template, you can draw all the pipes, and automatically you will have also the families of the fitting. So this was the first part about our Revit libraries and what you can find for Revit inside our website. I now leave the stage to my colleague Paolo Donati for the second part, where we will go deeper inside the tools that we develop for Revit as well.
Okay, thank you so much, Paolo. And we can start with the second part of this webinar. So if you remember this slide, Paolo was showing you this slide, and basically we were speaking about the 4 different BIM solutions that we provide as Valsir. You have already seen the BIM Revit models. We are not going to see the Plancal Novel, as Paolo was mentioning previously, but we are going to focus our attention on 2 different applications that we developed for the Revit software. One is the product line placer, and the other one is the clip tool. So we are going to discuss at first about the product line placer, of course, by Valsir. In order to let you understand what it is, the product line placer, I'm going to show you a very short video. So I'm helping myself by using a video. So just give me the possibility to share the video. That is this one. Okay, so basically on the same web page that Paolo was telling you previously, that is www.valsir.it/software, basically you are going to find the 4 different BIM solutions that we provide as Valsir. If you remember, we have all the Valsir BIM Revit families that you can download freely, of course, in the upper part of the web page. Then in the lower part on the left, you're going to find the Valsir clip tool that I'm going to discuss about this in the second part of my presentation. On the right, we have the Plancal Novel. You remember that if you have some question about the Plancal Novel, you can send us an email, and we will be very happy to help you in order to understand how it works, the Plancal Novel. And in the upper part, on the right, you are going to find the product line placer. Simply by making a very quick click on download app, you are redirecting to another web page that is the Map Content web page. Map Content is the partner of Valsir with whom we developed the product line placer that we are going to discuss to get deeper inside this topic in a couple of seconds. So in this part, I'm just showing you how to download and how to install the product line placer. Then we're going to discuss what it is and all the main features of this application that we developed for the Revit software again. So as you can see, with very few clicks, you can download the application and you can install, of course, the application inside the Revit software. After that, and now we are going to open like a Revit environment. In this case, of course, Revit 2020, but we developed the product line placer even for the version 2019, for the version 2021, and we're now developing even the product line placer for the Revit version 2022. So it will be available very soon. In this case, we're opening a mechanical model, so a generic mechanical model. And what we can find inside the Revit environment is a new icon on the top of your screen that is the Valsir. as you can see in the map content, and then you can find the Valsir icon. In this case, as you can see, we have 3 different options. So Valsir, Optimize, Auto-Routing, and the Map Content Browser. So with the Valsir, we are going to see that we can use the product line placer. What's the concept behind the product line placer? You have seen with Paolo, that with my colleague, that if you want to use the Revit families of Valsir that we developed for the Revit software, basically you have to go on the Valsir website. You can download all the families, okay? Or even in the BIM object that probably most of you already know how to do it and how to use the BIM object, you can download all the families of Valsir. After that, of course, you have to open a generic model, and then you have to load all the families inside your project. Well, we are going to see that with the product line placer, we have an instant upload of all the families of products that we want to use in our project directly inside the Revit environment. So basically, we are skip one step. We are saving, of course, time, and it's easier in this case to load the families of the products and items that we want to use inside our project. And we're going to see now in a couple of minutes with the option Valsir. Then we will see that with the option Optimize Auto-Routing, basically we can set some routing preferences that we want to use inside the project. For example, the connection between the horizontal branches and the vertical downpipe, if we want to use a 90 degrees branch, if we want to use a 45 degrees branch, or if we want to use eccentric reducer or concentric reducer. So we can set, we are going to see a lot of different auto-routing preferences or routing preferences. What's the last option? Map Content Browser. If inside the product line placer, we are not finding a specific item that we want to use, we can open the Map Content Browser, where we are going to find additional particular items that simply, again, we can download immediately inside or automatically inside the software. So let's have a look. In this case, okay, sorry, this was coming back like to, in this case, to the first option, where we can download again. So just a couple of seconds, sorry, but the video restarted. And meanwhile, I was telling you that we are going to see now that with the product line placer, basically, we can select the type of families of items that we want to use, of course, based on the catalog that we have as Valsir. So if we decide to draw or to design a wastewater system, or if we want to design a water supply system, or even a gas supply system. So this is the option that we have with the product line placer. If we want to use a specific item, for example, it may be the ventilation branch fitting, or if we want to use aerator, for example, air admittance valve inside a wastewater system, simply we can use the option that is the Map Content Browser. Or I was telling you if we want to set the routing preferences. So in this case, we have come back to the Revit environment. I'm going to show you that in this case, simply by using the Valsir, as you can see, by clicking on Valsir, now we are opening, in this case, basically the product line placer. In the product line placer, we can set the type of wastewater system that we want to use. As you can see, Blackfire, HDP, PP3, Silerian 3+, that are the 5 different systems that we manufacture as Valsir for a wastewater system. 4 of them are push-fit systems, Blackfire, PP3, Silerian 3+, with different acoustic performances and in some cases even resistance to low temperatures, or we can use a weldable system that is the HDP. In the other case, we can select, for example, water supply system. For example, the Bravo Press, the Pexel Brass, and in some cases the Pexel Easy, or even the Pexel Twist or the Pexel Gas. So for this particular example, we are using the Valsir Blackfire, and we are selecting, for example, a pipe of 1 meter. As Valsir, we are manufacturing pipes of different lengths. For example, 15 centimeters, 25, 50 centimeters, 75, up to 3 meters. So in this case, we are selecting a pipe with 1 socket, 110 millimeters, in this case, sorry, 32 millimeters, and simply by clicking on OK, as I was explaining you previously, the system is loading directly inside the Revit environment all the families of items associated to the families or to the systems that we decided to use. For example, in this case, we have the Valsir Blackfire. As Blackfire, we have a range of diameters from 32 up to 160. So don't worry if in the previous window we were selecting, for example, the diameter 32, because actually the product line placer is loading the entire range of diameters, as you can see, from 32 up to 160 millimeter. Of course, 3+, we have a range of diameter from 32 up to 250 millimeters, HDP up to 350 millimeters, and so on for the other wastewater systems. So simply, this was the first video in order that you can understand what it means, the product line placer. I'm now using a new video that I'm going to share with you in order that we can understand basically how it works, the product line placer. In this case, for example, we are inside the Revit, of course, environment. As you can see, we have a very simple bathroom that we want to design. So we have a bathroom at the ground floor, the same bathroom at the first floor. And in this case, we are using the Valsir 3+. So the blue pipe that is made of polypropylene is a 3 layers pipe. In this case, simply by using the normal command that we have inside Revit, the thing that we are doing is simply to connect all the PlumBIM fixtures to the vertical down pipe in order to create our wastewater system. As you can see now, we are connecting, for example, the flushing system to the vertical down pipe. And then we are connecting the spigot band to the horizontal branches. So the spigot band could represent, for example, a wash basin inside a bathroom. Now, if we are making a zoom, we are going to see that we have a problem inside our wastewater system. What's the problem? Is the problem with the direction of the flow. If you are looking, for example, here, as you can see, we have a problem with the direction of the flow, because it seems that the direction is not correct. So the spigot band and the pipe from the spigot band is coming inside the horizontal branches, but is going towards, in this case, the flushing system. So this is not correct. Then, if we are going to see, for example, the connection between the horizontal branches and the vertical down pipe, the system is using a 45 degrees branch plus a 45 degrees band. For the creation of the, in this case, the change of direction from vertical to horizontal, the system is using a 90 degrees band. From an acoustic point of view, this is not the best solution. Why? Because if we have a 90 degrees band, we can increase, in this case, the turbulence that we can have at the base of our wastewater system. By increasing the turbulence, we can increase, in this case, the transmission of the vibration between the vertical down pipe, I mean the wastewater systems, to the structural elements of our buildings, and from those points to the other rooms that we have inside the buildings. That's why, for example, as I was telling you previously, with, in this case, the optimized auto-routing, we can set different routing preferences. For example, for the vertical bands, for the horizontal bands, and even if we have some routing preferences for the creation of the transition between a smaller diameter to a bigger one. As you can see, different options, just a couple of them. The transition between vertical and horizontal pipe. In this case, we can decide to use 245 degrees bands instead of 190 degrees band. Again, from an acoustic point of view, 245 degrees bands is the best solution. For the realization of the connection between the horizontal branch and the vertical down pipe, we can decide to use 45 degrees branch plus a 45 degrees band, or we can use a 90 degrees T branch. For example, we have the same basically for the changes of direction for the horizontal pipes. Even for the realization of the connection between a smaller diameter and a bigger diameter, we can use a separated reduction branch, or we can use a reduced T branch or a 45 degrees branch. Or even if we want to realize, for example, the transition between a smaller diameter and a bigger one, we can use an eccentric reduction, or in this case it's an increaser, or a concentric increaser. Simply by clicking on OK, the only thing that we have to do is to select the system where we want to change, in this case, the routing preferences. And then we have to select the final point of our wastewater system. Why? Because in this case, by selecting the final point, the system is able to understand which will be the right direction of the flow. As you can see, simply with one click, we solved all the problems that we had previously. So we have the right direction of the flow. As you can see, since we have decided to use for this specific example a 90 degrees T branch, as you can see, simply, again, with the same click that we did previously, the product line placer is able to update our drawing, our design. If you are going to look, for example, the transition between a vertical pipe and an horizontal pipe, as you can see now, the system is using 245 degrees bands, the same that we have at the base of the stack. If you remember, is the best solution from an acoustic point of view. Then, what we can do with, again, with the product line placer, simply by clicking again on the same icon, we can even create a schedule of materials. So a list of materials. We can create a schedule of materials for the pipes, for the fittings, and for other items. In this example, we are creating only the list of material for the fittings. As you can see, the system is creating a table like this. In the table, we can have different columns. For example, the number of items on the left, the type of material that we are using. In this specific example, Valsir 3+, the type of item that we are using is a 45 degrees band, a T branch, we can use an increaser, and so on. We have the code article, that is the same that we have in our catalog. And we have even the indication information about the dimensions. As you can see from this table, we have one of the row that is empty. In this case, what it means that basically the system, the product line placer, is not able to find a correspondence between the item that we are using and the item that we have inside the catalog of Valsir. So the thing that we can do, for example, is to highlight the row of the table, and simply in this case, we can highlight the item inside our project, and we can change the families of items that we want to use. By doing an operation like this, if we are coming back to the table that we were seeing previously, as you can see now, we have the correspondence between the item that we are using inside the Revit project and the item that we can find inside the Valsir catalog. As you can see now, even the description of the item and the code article has appeared. So now we can come back to my presentation. And in order to sum up what we have seen for the product line placer, so the main features are, we have an instant upload of the families inside the project. We can have an automatic optimization of project layout for the vertical connections, horizontal connections, and other transitions. We have an automatic creation of schedule, and if we want, an automatic creation of labels. Well, I just want to ask you, again, in the pool section, you're going to find this very simple question. So according to you, is it better to have a single BIM families with a preset template, as the one that my colleague Paolo was showing you in the first part of the webinar, or an integrated plugin inside the BIM software as the product line placer? So please, you can answer in the pool section. Okay, just a couple of seconds for you. And basically the 100% of you are answering me that it's better to have an integrated plugin inside the BIM software. So I'm happy of this answer. So it's something that I hope you can decide to use inside your project. So we can pass now to the second application that we developed, that is the clip tool. Why did we decide to develop the Valsir clip tool? In order to answer to this question, we can start from a real example, so a real installation that we did as Valsir. This is an high-rise building that you can find even on internet, that is in Colombo, the capital of Sri Lanka, the Altair buildings. Basically is a high-rise building where the designers decided in this case to use the BIM approach. So they created an avatar of the building, and they decided to simulate and to draw, to design the wastewater systems by using our Revit families for a wastewater system. And in this particular example, as you can see, they decided to use the Valsir 3+, different plumbing fixtures. This is the typical bathroom that is present inside the building. They decided to use some particular trap that we have inside our catalog. And as you can see here, for the wastewater system, they decided to use the VBF, the ventilation branch fitting. That is a particular fitting that we are using in high-rise building because we have a lot of advantages. For example, we can avoid completely to use the parallel ventilation, even if we have an high-rise building. So we can decrease the total amount of material that we are using for the installation. We can save money for the installation. We can save space inside the technical shaft. So we can sell more living area to the final clients. So we have a lot of different advantages by using the VBF. But what's the main problem? The main problem is that the designer were asking Valsir if we were able to help them with the design even of the bracketing systems. Why? Because it seems that all the pipes are flying inside the space. So in order to insert all the clips, the bracketing systems is a time-consuming operation. So Valsir decided to help them, and of course, to create the clip tool in order to help all the designers in order basically to pass from an amazing and well-done project, but incomplete, to a complete one. As you can see, the difference between the left image and the right image is the presence of the bracketing system. That's why we decided in this case basically to develop the product line, the clip tool, sorry. In order to explain you how to use the clip tool, I'm going to share with you the last video. Again, we are inside a Revit environment, and in this case, we have a very simple, we are designing a very simple wastewater system that is made of an horizontal collector and a vertical downpipe. And we have a plan view, cross-sectional view, and a 3D views. Well, in this case, again, inside, if you are downloading the clip tool from the same web page that I was showing you 20 minutes ago, you can download and install the app inside the Revit environment. You're going to find the icon Valsir. Inside the icon Valsir, you're going to find the clip tool. So what's the main features that we have? We are going to see all of them. So we can insert manually the clips. We can insert automatically the clips. We can erase, cancel all the clips. We can use a split pipe option that we are going to see in a couple of seconds, or we can even set some preferences. For example, by clicking on settings, we're opening a new window. Inside this window, what we can select? First of all, the type of clip that we want to use. It may be a light clip or a heavy clip. What's the difference? Simply the dimension of the threaded rod that we're using in order to connect the pipe to the structural horizontal slab or the vertical wall. And we can select between normal clips and acoustic clips with anti-vibration strip. Sorry. In this case, we're using acoustic clips. Heavy. We can define when a pipe has to be considered vertical. Why so important? Because we are going to see in a couple of minutes that we have different rules for the horizontal spacing of the clips, if you're speaking about horizontal pipes, and the spacing of the vertical pipes. So horizontal and vertical, they have different rules. That's why it's important to define when a pipe has to be considered vertical by the clip tool. Then we have another option, the fixing rod's length. The two options are, or we decide to attach the clip to the support if possible. What it means, if we have inside our project a concrete slab, or if we have a vertical, in this case, wall, where we can attach the clip. If we don't want to attach the clip to the support, we can define a fixed rod length, for example, 500 millimeters or 50 centimeters. Well, in this option, we are using attached to the clip to the support if possible. Then, if you remember, I was telling you that inside the software and the clip tool, we have two different rules. One for the horizontal spacing of the clips, the other one for the vertical spacing. And as you can see, for all the diameters, we have a different spacing. Just to make you an example, how it is calculated. For the horizontal spacing is 10 times the external diameter, 110 every 1.1 meters. We are going to put or to add a clip, and for the vertical spacing, every 15 times the outer diameter. So in this case, every 1.7 meters if we have 110. Of course, we can decide to change these rules, but these are defined according to the rules that we have inside our technical manual that you can download freely from our website. Then we have the option to set a split length. Why a split length? Because if you remember, as Valsir for the push-fit systems, as 3 Plus and Blackfire and PP3 and Silerian, we are producing pipes of different lengths, from 15 centimeters up to 3 meters. So if we are designing or if we are drawing a pipes of 7 meters inside our project, we can do it in Revit, but of course we are not going to find a correspondence between the pipes, the length of the pipes, and the commercial lengths that we have inside our manual. That's why we can decide to set 3 meters split length or 2.5 meters. And simply by clicking on OK, the clip tool is loading inside the project the type of clips that we decided to use, is loading the rules for the horizontal and vertical spacing, and even the split length that we decided to use. By clicking on the icon split pipe, and by clicking on the pipe, that it may be an horizontal pipe or even a vertical pipe, as you can see, simply the system is creating pieces of pipe with a length of 2.5 meters and the last one of the length that remain. We can do the same with the vertical pipe by changing, for example, the split length by 1 meter. And then the other option that we have is the possibility to insert automatically all the clips. We have 3 options: starting pipe point, selected point, and equal distribution. With the first one, the clip tool is adding the first clip at the beginning of the pipe that we are going to select, and all the remaining clips according to the rules that we defined in the previous window, if you remember. With the selected point, the system is adding the first clip in the point that we are selecting, all the remaining clips, again, according to the rules that we have defined. Equal distribution is calculating, basically, the length of the pipes and is adding, according to an equal distribution, a correct number of clips. We are using the first option just to show you how it works. So we are using the starting pipe point. The thing that we have to do, if you remember, we were selecting the option attach the clip to the support if possible. So we have to select inside our drawing, our design, a support. It may be the horizontal concrete slab, or if we have a vertical pipe, it may be, for example, the vertical wall. Selecting simply, then we have to click on the pipe, and the system, as you can see, is automatically adding the clips on all the pipes that we are selecting. And pay attention that, for example, by using the first option, if we have a pipe with a slope, in this case, automatically, the clip tool is able to calculate the right length of the threaded rod that we are using. If we are doing the same with the vertical down pipe, of course, we have to select the vertical wall, and again, we can connect the pipe to the structural support by using the clip. Do you want, for example, to have a look, in this case, of the different length at which we have added all the clips? Well, in this case, for example, as you can see, we have every 1.1 meters. Basically, we are using a clip. I'm coming back to my presentation. Okay, and in this case, I just want to sum up what we have seen for the clip tool. So the main features of the clip tool is an automatic or even a manual placement of all the clips on the pipes. So you have these 2 different options. We have an automatic connection to the support surfaces if you want to do it, or if you have drawn inside your project a support surfaces. We have the possibility to select different types of clips that are available inside the clip tool. M10 is the light clip. Half inch and 1 inch are the heavy clips, with or without anti-vibration strip. We have the possibility to edit the bracketing rules, and we have even the possibility of an automatic cut of pipes according to a specified length. Well, I just want to ask you my last question that you are going to find inside, again, the pools section. Do you think that will you use the clip tool in your future projects? So as you can see, the answer is very easy, yes or no. In this case, I'm just giving you just a couple of seconds in order that you can answer to this question. What I can see from your answer that basically the 100% of you are considering very useful the clip tool, so they are using or they will use the clip tool in their future projects. So I'm very happy of this. And well, for my part is everything. So I hope that you have found interesting this webinar. And of course, if you want to send us an email, you can do it by using the email address academy@valsir.it, or you can even follow us on the different social channels, for example, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, Pinterest, and so on.